Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 34 of Impactful Conversations. We are back again, and thank you very much for supporting, listening to the show, engaging with us. We truly, really appreciate it. And we would appreciate it if you subscribe to the platform that you're listening or watching this currently right now. And head over to our website, which is impactfulconversations.co.za, to find out more about the platform. Today, I am joined by none other than Bojane Segooa, who I am thrilled to introduce to you this morning. She's well on her way to establishing herself as a young business leader. She's an academic, a social entrepreneur, a chartered accountant, registered with the South African Institute of Chartered Accountants. She has over 9 years experience in corporate and academia, specializing in financial management, auditing, and tax. She's an active advocate for the economic empowerment of women. And that's not all. Hear this. Her main interest is an innovation called Levelsapp, which we're going to chat about a little bit later, which uses an innovation and technology to provide solutions to societal problems. Levelsapp, the company's flagship and leading product, is a career guidance teacher training software that operates as a comparison website. So I'm thrilled to be chatting to her about that a little bit later. She's a dynamic businesswoman and has received a number of accolades for her work in academia and business. These include the Department of Science and Technology's Innovation Support Program Research Award and being a finalist at the South African Startup Awards in the EduTech Startup category. In 2018, SAICA nominated her for its annual Top 35 Chartered Accountants Under the Age of 35 competition, and she's one of only 7 Black female non-executive directors of a JSE-listed company 35 years old and under. Her work has also been featured in various business and academic media platforms. This year, she was also previously, she was the recipient of News 24's 100 Young Mandelas of the Future Award. And that remembers Nelson Mandela's legacy by celebrating young people who demonstrate a remarkable drive to succeed in their personal lives and to make a difference in the lives of others. She sits on the board of RH Bopelo Limited, a healthcare investment company listed on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange and cross-listed on the Rwanda Stock Exchange. She's also an avid reader who is a regular speaker, as she's here today, and a panelist at conferences. Bojane, thank you so much for joining me. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here on this wonderful spring Saturday morning. How are you doing today?
Hello, Tafatwa. Hello to the team at Impactful Conversations, to your audience, and to everyone out there on this stunning spring morning. I'm very well, and you?
I am great, thanks. It's absolutely wonderful to have you here with us. I'm thrilled to dive in, but first, I think as a sort of introduction, I've introduced you, I think with a lot of detail, but I'll say, firstly, tell us a little bit about yourself that we don't know yet. Let us get to know you a little bit better.
So I'm born and raised in Johannesburg,
Okay.
right? So I was born in Soweto and then moved to Johannesburg at the cusp of democracy. I went to Wits University to do my undergraduate degree, UNISA, and now I'm back at Wits Business School. And I'm a proud South African and very patriotic. And I've actually never left Gauteng as a province. So perhaps that's something that you'd want to know. I've always lived and worked in this province. I've studied in this province, so Gauteng is home, and it's where I've been for the last couple of years since birth, really.
No, awesome. As a fellow Joburger myself, at heart, I can identify a lot with that. And so tell me, what 3 things would or do people say about you? What would you say those 3 things are currently?
Sure, I would say kind, right? So people say that I'm kind, energetic, even though I don't feel like that on most days, particularly with COVID and everything being online, it can be quite exhausting. So I don't feel as energetic, and ambitious, because I'm always, taking on new goals, trying new things, and really pushing through to achieve those goals.
Yeah, and I mean, adding on to that, you hold multiple titles at the same time. You're an incredibly busy person. All the more why we appreciate you coming onto this platform today. And I know you and I have had this discussion almost 6 months ago, I think, to schedule this episode. So I'm really, really excited to have you here. But tell me a little bit about your passion to contribute.
Please repeat that. I missed that last bit of your question.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about your passion to contribute, through the different roles that you do.
My different career roles.
Correct.
So, I'm a social entrepreneur, so I run several companies, and the purpose of the companies is to use technology and innovation to solve for societal problems. And then I sit on boards of companies that are listed on the stock exchange, that are large privately held companies, and a state-owned company as well, as a non-executive director and as a chairperson of the Audit and Risk Committee. That's probably about some of the most interesting work that I do, because you get to serve. And I did say that I'm quite patriotic, so service is a huge part of the work that I'd like to do and that I aspire to do and that I always try to incorporate. And I still lecture. I lecture financial accounting to aspiring chartered accountants. So it's a very interesting mix, a mix that I enjoy. Sometimes it gets overwhelming, but we soldier on.
Yeah, it's incredibly inspiring, I think. Truly inspiring to hear that, and looking forward to digging into that a little bit further. So you are a qualified chartered accountant, as you said. What led you to study accounting in the first place?
I would say it was my parents. So they had said to me when I was getting ready to go to university that there weren't a lot of Black female chartered accountants. And they said that because of that, the economy needs Black female chartered accountants. So I must study to become a chartered accountant. I wanted to be a writer. I like storytelling. I like, seeking and finding, just anything that drives curiosity. Those are the things that I was interested in, and career paths that I thought I would pursue. But they said I would be a CA. So they introduced me to a family friend, Mama Futi Mtoba, who is a prolific Black female chartered accountant. And they said, she will tell you everything that you need to know about being a CA, and she will guide you through that journey. And she did. She was a very incredible, second mom. And I suppose today we call them mentors. And she's still an active part of my career today.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think, the impact of having, people like that, in our lives and in our careers is not to be underestimated. And I'm sure you are that as well to other people in their careers already. So, tell me about your love for innovation. Where did that start? And how does that manifest today?
So I'm studying towards a master's in innovation at Wits Business School, so innovation management. So the business of innovation. And I guess it's really just using creative, novel, and unexplored and untested ways to improve society, to improve business, to improve the world of work. I'm interested in things, uncharted territories. I'm interested in things that are a bit more difficult, a bit unusual, and unique and novel. So it was really in that space where I realized that this aspect of work is driven by curiosity and creativity, that I decided that I wanted to spend a bit more time exploring that and crafting out solutions. And yeah.
And sort of building on to your decision to serve, you hold a number of non-executive directorships. What sort of led to your decision to go into that space and to serve in that space?
I would say I grew up reading the Sunday newspapers, so the Sunday Times, the City Press, all the big publications daily. And then obviously on the Sunday, you'd get that big newspaper, and the people in the business section for me looked the most glamorous. So they
Yeah.
seemed to be taking on the world's problems and solving them. And they seemed to be doing things that no one else could do. You know, they were the captains of industry and they were South African problem solvers. And I aspire to be like them. I suppose in a small way, I saw a part of myself in them. And I think that's where dreams are manifested, where
Mm.
you see yourself in something or someone through inspiration and aspiration. You know, so when you see something that you are drawn to, I don't think that it's by accident. I don't think that it's by mistake. If there's something or someone that you hold in high regard, I think there's a part of you that sees yourself in that thing or that person. And that's where manifestation comes in. So I suppose I didn't realize it at the time. I was very small, but I suppose I saw a part of myself in those people. And, you know, that's where that dream was planted. And it's something that took me a very long time to achieve. But ultimately, I did. Ultimately, I did become an NED for some really interesting companies in South Africa. And I suppose being a chartered accountant helps because you understand the business, what drives the business, right, from a financial perspective. So I always say, you know, if you're not selling, there is no business. Business is sales. And you can only sell if you have a product. Firstly, if you have a good sales strategy and if you have a good product to sell, then you're in business. Accountants are just storytellers. We tell the story of what happened and how it happened and what the result of the sales was, you know. So it's really that simplistic to me. So to answer your question, it was really the manifestation of a dream, of a childhood dream, and the realization of that dream. And a very large part of it is patriotic. And I think what goes with patriotism is the desire to serve. You know, I don't think you can be patriotic and not want to serve your community, your country, your people. So I view being a non-executive director as service to, you know, the stakeholders of the company and the community that company services at large.
Yeah, I really love that answer. I think that's quite yeah, quite inspirational answer. And I think you know, the service, you know, that you give has impact, I'm sure. And you know, I think, you know, anybody who is listening to this can attest to the fact that you are an inspirational person to look up to and to hear and to listen to and to learn from. So, you know, building on to that, you have received a number of accolades. I read some of them out. I'm sure there's more, which I didn't read out. How do you? I'm quite curious, you know, because I think sometimes when we receive accolades, it becomes quite difficult to continue to motivate ourselves, right? I'm quite curious to dig into how do you keep yourself motivated? What keeps you going, you know, despite the sort of awards, accolades, things that people, you know, say about you and so on? What keeps you going? How do you stay motivated?
That's a very interesting question. I think the nature of the human race is to do more and to push oneself more. And once you have that capacity to push yourself, to drive yourself, to motivate yourself, and to do more, all that happens is you have the capacity to do more than what you did before. I think it was Nelson Mandela who said, and this encapsulates it beautifully, is once you've climbed a very high mountain, you realize that there are many more mountains to climb.
Yeah.
And I think that's really where the motivation comes from. You achieve one goal, and then you realize that you have the capacity to achieve many more goals. So it's just developing that that culture for personal excellence, for achieving one's goals and for self-actualization through achieving your goals. And your goals just become bigger and bigger. The key is just to always stay in the moment, be present in the day, be grateful for the things that you have been able to do, and to take stock of the things that you weren't able to do. So that could also be one of the motivators. We never really talk about our failures. We never talk about the things that we wanted to happen that didn't. We only see the things that did happen. And I suppose that's the nature of social media and the way that our lives are set up these days. But certainly failure can be a significant motivator.
Yeah, yeah, and I loved the part where that the quote around once you've climbed a very big mountain, you find that there's plenty more to climb. I can attest to that and identify to it, right? I think you really do find it, right? You really do find that, oh goodness, okay, cool, I've achieved this, and then you realize there's still more. There's still more that can be done. So I appreciate you sharing that with us, and I appreciate the profound words that you've shared. So, getting to know you a little bit better. An interesting question. So I typically ask similar type questions in our podcast episodes, but today I'm gonna ask a slightly different question to the ones that I've been asking before, and I think it's quite a cool way to get to know you a little bit better. So, if you were to have the perfect weekend getaway, where would it be? And I'm going to challenge you and say outside of Gauteng, our home province, outside of Gauteng, if you could have a perfect weekend, where would it be?
I would say it would be someplace extremely quiet and peaceful. So the challenge with having a very busy life and having taken on as much as I suppose I have is that you don't really get downtime. Everything just is busy and it just feels like everything is always racing past you. So certainly stillness and quiet become a currency and they become very valuable. So someplace very quiet with loved ones, doing absolutely nothing except making memories.
Yeah, I can. That sounds like a dream. That sounds amazing. So diving into as well, talking about how you spend your time. You're obviously quite busy. You don't get a lot of it, but when you do have spare time, what do you like to do in your spare time?
I like to go for walks. I like to spend time with family and close friends. The older one seems to get, the less friends one seems to have.
Yeah.
And reading fiction and non-fictional titles
Lovely.
and resting. Yeah. So I actually sleep a lot when I'm not working because I get quite tired. I'm quite tired most of the time. So sleep is everything. Yeah.
Sleep is currency, right? Sleep is currency. So
It is.
I can totally understand that. I can totally understand that. So I want us to dive into the Levelsapp, right? And I want us to talk about reimagining South Africa through the Levelsapp, right? Through the work that you're doing there. But firstly, before we sort of dive into it, for those who don't know, what is Levelsapp? What is its purpose? For those who don't know about it.
Okay. So the Levelsapp is a comparison website for all undergraduate degrees from all South African universities on one platform. So it's a university degree aggregator. We've taken the data from all South African undergraduate degrees and put them on one platform in a way that's extremely user-friendly to peruse and to decide on which qualification to embark on. We've included a built-in admission point score, which is used to, which is based on your academic marks to determine whether or not you qualify for a course. We've also made a distinction between your marks and the marks of the required marks of the admission point score for each university qualification. And it's all on one user-friendly platform. We've divided the faculties into 12 unique faculties, and it's just made looking for a university degree extremely easy and seamless. We've included costs of tuition, accommodation, and a lot more features that I think I don't want to spoil. I think people should go and check it out for themselves. But certainly it's it's become like a social movement in many ways. Students across South Africa will always come back to us and tell us about how it was the genesis of some of the more exciting and incredible journeys into university.
All right, and building on to what you just shared about the Levelsapp in terms of the social movement, as it were, and what it's truly about. Why do you think it's important to provide this platform to scholars looking for their next step?
So the life orientation syllabus is where in South African schools is where the career guidance is housed. So if you want to explore different career paths and you want to use career guidance in order to guide you, then the life orientation syllabus at South African schools is where that information would be. That syllabus is insufficient and incomplete to guide students to apply to university and to find the right qualification for themselves. The syllabus at schools is not meant to be comprehensive, so there are areas where you yourself should be able to find your own answers. And that's where products and services like the Levelsapp come in. So we supplement, complement, and actually, and add significantly to the value that's provided by the life orientation syllabus and career guidance specifically.
Yeah, I think it's an awesome idea and awesome initiative. I think it's much needed, and so kudos to you and your team, for the fantastic work that you're doing there. If I think slightly broader, how do you link what you do to us turning the trend of our current unemployment statistics? How does that link sort of exist? It might not exist directly per se, but sort of indirectly, how do you think what you do is helping us to turn that trend around?
Yeah. That's a very good question. I think the South African unemployment rate is a massive conundrum that keeps every South African up at night. Anyone who cares about South African youth, and the prospects, the future prospects of the country and its economy. Labor is an economic input. It's an input into economic growth. Yeah. Labor comes from people, skilled labor, people who go to university, who go to colleges, who eke out a living by pursuing a specific skill. The gap that I would say, and where our work is valuable, is that we assist people to find the right qualification that will lead to a job. Lots of students apply for qualifications that don't necessarily lead to a job. Lots of students insist on going to university without knowing other options that are available to them. So we've recently started developing a similar product, but for the TVET college space, because those technical skills are really what drive skilled labor in an economy, in a developing economy like ours, and provide jobs and work. So in creating career guidance for skilled labor in South Africa as an input to economic growth, I would say that is our contribution to the South African economy and to curbing the scourge of unemployed youth.
Yeah, and an excellent contribution at that, right? I think, it really, really does make a big, big difference. And I think, the fact that you've also moved into the TVET college space is incredibly profound and significant as well. And yeah, congratulations on that step, which is fantastic. So you are a play your part ambassador. Um, I'm curious to get your take. What does it mean to be an active citizen? Um, and how can you and I be active citizens in our world?
That's a very good question. It's a very interesting question. I think active citizenry starts with patriotism.
Mm,
So believing in what your country represents,
mm,
what your nationality represents, what your culture represents as a start,
mm,
and driving that messaging and and those representations in your day-to-day actions. That's what I think an active citizen is. You cannot be an active citizen if you are divorced from your citizenry and citizenship. So the two are interlinked and speak to each other. So it could be anything from community work to creating jobs to being an entrepreneur to teaching, it's underpinned by patriotism and service in that patriotism.
mm, I think that's incredibly profound, really, really profound. And I think I would encourage, everybody to go and, check out, everything about Play Your Part and, check out, what it means to actually be an active citizen. And you certainly are an active citizen. And thank you for the work that you do. Bojane, very finally, where can people find out more about the Levelsapp, and where can they interact, with the business as it were?
So we have social media pages on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and on Instagram. We do several different events throughout the year. We run competitions as well,
Awesome.
and we have a website, levelsapp.co.za,
Awesome.
and our customer base, our users, the people who interact with the software, are testament to its need in society and in the education sector. So those are the places that you can interact
Mm.
with us and join our community of people that want to do more and be more and level up.
Yeah, 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 and I would encourage everybody to go and level up. And you heard that levels up today. Bojane, I want to thank you so much for a wonderful, wonderful, impactful conversation. It's been a pleasure and an honor to have you on the platform to get to know you a little bit better, to also hear a little bit about your story. Which is incredibly inspirational, and I think there's yet more to come, and we look forward to seeing many more of to steal the phrase, the mountains that you'll climb in the future. So thank you very much for a wonderful, wonderful conversation. I look forward to welcoming you back on the show in the future, and I hope that you've enjoyed the discussion and the conversation.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. And I think impactful conversations are important, you know, in any society. Before anything major, anything big, any breakthrough, any revolution happens, it
Mm.
starts with a conversation. It starts with dialogue between two people, and then a household, and then a community, and then before you know it, it's the entire country. So certainly, this is the genesis of any revolution, that you and your team would like to drive. And I wish you well on that revolutionary journey. And I thank you very much for hosting me.
Excellent. No, thank you for those incredibly kind words. To you, the listener, from Bojane and myself, we want to thank you for listening, and we hope that you have been impacted. I have no doubt that you have been impacted positively to go and make a difference in your world, to go and be an active citizen in your sphere, in your circle of influence, and to go and play your part in reimagining South Africa and building the South Africa for the future. And so from Bojane and myself, we want to say thank you very much and goodbye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you very much.